Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 4010. Today's date is April 19, 2026. It's been almost like a night at 10:21 p.m. All right, let's just jump into the question. Let's go. All right. So, question is, how will you ensure empathy instead of trolling? Okay, that's a really good question. Okay, yeah. First of all, what exactly is this question, and why am I asking this question to myself? I want to build a app called My Artifact. Okay, this is the name of the app. Okay, what exactly is this app will gonna do? Like usually people are kind of like somebody wrote the diary every single day. Okay, yeah. I'm just changing this process of writing a diary instead of recording a diary. Like basically whatever actually happened, people wrote the diary. Instead of they are writing, they are kind of like a recording. That is called artifact. Like they are kind of like a recording what exactly happened about their day, things and that and that. Okay, they will kind of like open up my application and they will start recording. So that is called my artifact. Okay, my application, like this artifact, this application is kind of like a simply YouTube. Okay, yeah. Like people are kind of like in the YouTube, people are kind of like upload their video. Other people could suppose to, other people are kind of like a watch your video. It's kind of like that. Like people are kind of like a recording the artifact. Other people will gonna listen those artifact. Audio artifact, by the way, there is no video at all, just a audio, right? Okay, another thing is that ki I am providing privacy. Means like that ki a user could supposed to be listen your artifact, but they will not gonna know who you are and things and that because privacy is very much essential. I am providing the privacy. Now, regarding about this question, where is actually question is actually came from. Okay, so I wanted to build this kind of like application. So I need to kind of like understand every possible scenario that what kind of like a worst thing will gonna happen if I kind of like build this app and things and that. So I went to ChatGPT. I kind of like explain this is my application and suggest me at least like 100 questions regarding about what kind of like some action or precaution should I supposed to do when I kind of like create this app. So ChatGPT kind of like create almost like 100 of question. This is one of those questions. Now regarding about this question, the question says that key how will you ensure empathy instead of trolling? Now trolling means what? A trolling means like that ki people are kind of like a commenting something bad. That is called kind of like a trolling or things and that. Okay. Now in artifact, the possibility of having a trolling or getting a trolling is much more higher than other social network app. Okay, like let's just say trolling on social media, let's just say trolling on YouTube. Okay, yeah. If trolling happen in YouTube are kind of like a very less. Why? Because usually people are kind of like upload video on YouTube platform. They are already a very refined video regarding about what they said, what they not, and things and that. Okay, yeah. Same thing goes with Instagram. It's already very refined video. But when you talk about the artifact is a raw, it's unfiltered. There is no refinement. So when there is no refinement, people will gonna talk something shit, stupid, lot of something shit that other people might gonna say, what the fuck is this thing? This is completely wrong and things and that. Okay, yeah. Okay. That's why the possibility of trolling happening in artifact is much more higher than another social media platform. Okay. Now, if trolling happened, then is it something wrong? Like basically is this thing, let's just kind of like somebody say, okay, yeah, that key trolling happened, is it wrong thing or right thing? Obviously it's a wrong thing. Okay, yeah. Like the user who kind of like recorded the artifact, he just kind of like sharing his thought. Obviously it's not really refined. Okay, yeah. So if the trolling happened, it's not really that he probably like did something very wrong. No, like his thought process and thoughts could change every single time. Okay, yeah. So it's not really that you should supposed to be kind of like a troll, right? But somewhat something na, if I'm saying trolling is bad, but somewhat something trolling is really good too. Let me kind of like give you example. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing na ki um let's just understand. Okay, I'm kind of like simply give you a possible kind of like simply like a scenario example. Okay, yeah. So basically it's this thing that ki last year there is a kind of like a on YouTube there is a kind of like a show is called uh, India's Got Latent. Okay, yeah. It's a kind of like a simply a show where people are kind of like a showing their skills, but very worse. Like I'm not gonna talk about this show. Okay, yeah. This show is a kind of like a somewhat something very like they are using vulgar language and things and that. Like you could kind of like a show any kind of like a talent. Okay, yeah. Like every kind of like a worse talent and things and that, but it's not really kind of like a some a talent based competition, definitely no, it's just kind of like a trolling and things and that. Okay, yeah. So this show is just like a very, I don't know how do I supposed to define that show, but this is kind of like a show which has a kind of like a so many views every single episode got almost like a 10-20 million views every single video. Okay, yeah. Now what is actually happened that he something wrong happened, some sort of judges kind of like assembly put the word okay, yeah, joke, and that joke is not really good. So all entire media is kind of like a started trolling that key this kind of like a something show should supposed to be banned or things and that. Okay, yeah. Now let me tell you one thing. Now from creator point of perspective and societal point of perspective, we will gonna discuss both of them. Okay, yeah. Let's talk about creator point of perspective, means the person who actually created that show. Samir Raina, who is a person who actually created that show. Obviously, his point of perspective, very worst thing actually happened. Like a chief minister kind of like a fire the FIR against him. Every creator who actually involved on that event, they got FIR too. They got kind of like a simply the police case and things and that. Obviously, it's very wrong in so many possible ways, right? So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing. This is kind of like a very wrong thing happened. So from them point of perspective, trolling happened. It really affect them from internal point of perspective. Like a lot of kind of like a somebody affect like a politician. The kind of like a somebody the lot of kind of like a somebody the gunde mawali. They are try to attack them on their home and things and that. So many wrong thing happened. By the way, in this scenario, no one got hurt or no one got kind of like a killed. Okay, yeah, but they got kind of like a troll. Okay, from creator point of perspective, this is a wrong thing. Trolling happened is a wrong thing. Now let's talk about the societal point of perspective. Okay, yeah. From societal point of perspective, this trolling, it's somewhat something right. Why? Let me tell you. Okay, yeah. So basically, this show, India's Got Latent show, is just about kind of like a doing something, cracking stupid joke and things and that. Okay, yeah. Some class of people like that show, some people does not like. I was one of them. I don't really like that show because throughout the entire show those judges are kind of like a making fun of those other people with very vulgar using words and things and that. So that is very wrong in so many possible ways. Okay, so basically what is actually happened because of this trolling happened, because of the FIR, because of all those kind of like a shit happened, entire news media is actually kind of like a try to look at them and things and that. Okay, so basically is this thing na ki because of wrong thing happened. Okay, wrong thing happened with them, they will not gonna try to do this again. Okay, and also it also became the lesson for other, if the other people who wanted to execute such kind of like a show, they will also gonna face that multiple kind of like a consequences from societal and things and that and that. So what is actually happened that if like those creator who kind of like created this show, they will not gonna do this again. Why? Because if they did it, might be they will kind of like face such a consequences again. Okay. And another thing, it will also become a lesson for other creator too, so that they will not gonna kind of like create such a show. Even if they kind of like create this show again, they will try to reduce little less vulgar or little less kind of like somebody that ki making fun of each other, or making kind of like somebody sure that ki their show would supposed to be kind of like somebody be more happy and fun and things and that, not to be kind of like somebody making fun of each other and using kind of like a vulgar words and things and that. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you is this thing: the trolling is actually happened with creator is very wrong thing, but from societal point of perspective, it is a right thing. What I'm trying to tell you is this thing na, when someone make a mistake and after the mistake there is a consequences happen, that consequences, bad consequences happen. From that bad consequences, we try to make sure that ki those mistake should not supposed to be happen. Like example is this thing, let's just say World War. Okay, so World War II is actually happened, and after the World War we understand how much consequences happen, how many people die and things and that. We realize this thing, and since then we try to make sure this will not gonna happen. Okay, so this is what it is. So sometimes na mistakes or wrong thing is meant to be happen for right reason. Okay, so if I am kind of like a basically is this thing, trolling is somewhat something really essential. Okay, yeah, from creator point of perspective and societal point of perspective too. Now basically early I was kind of like thinking that ki in my artifact I shouldn't supposed to be kind of like have a comment section, because usually trolling is actually happening comment section. Okay, yeah, like what's exactly comment section? Comment section means like that ki whatever the video that you watch or whatever the post that you kind of like see on Instagram or YouTube video or anything like that, a user, any kind of like a user can able to be kind of like a comment on that video, comment on that post, comment on that song, comment on that is called kind of like something comment. People are kind of like giving them feedback. So when you having that kind of like feedback, sorry about this kind of like a noises probably okay, whatever. So basically is this thing now, when that comment is kind of like a act as a feedback, and user or maybe kind of like somebody, the people who are kind of like created the content, they will kind of like refine more content according to the audience point of perspective, and they will kind of like know because of the comment section. Okay, so comment is somewhat something really essential for kind of like improving the quality of their content. Okay, another thing is that key comment is also kind of like utilized for trolling too. People have started trolling and things and that. Okay, so basically is this thing na ki it is my responsibility that ki trolling happened, but it should supposed to be maintained. It should supposed to be controlled trolling. How was supposed to do that? Okay, so let me tell you one thing. In my application, yes, user can comment on that other people artifact. Okay, but it's not the kind of like a typical comment that you are kind of like thinking. It's a kind of like a thing that na ki the only and only the comment section or comment icon is actually available when you read or when you kind of like listen the entire artifact. Okay, it's not really that you just kind of like just listen almost like a 2 minute of artifact and you just started commenting. No, like basically this thing, that comment icon only and only possible when you kind of like listen the entire artifact, then that comment icon is actually appear to you. Okay, and in that comment you can click. You will not gonna type the comment. No, there is no, you have to record the comment. Okay, like basically this thing, like basically there is a kind of like a particular person who kind of like a record a artifact regarding about that ki kind of like a how much kind of like a fucked up kind of like a job and things and that. Okay, now you are the kind of like a something that you kind of like against with that thing. So instead of typing, you have to record a comment that dude, you don't really understand the what is actually existing and that. Now why is that? Why I'm not letting them people type the comment? Because of that na, when you type the comment, you can type so many stuff, fuck you, motherfucker, mother chod, lauda choda, वगैरह वगैरह. Okay, yeah. It's kind of like a very easy to type such a word. Okay, yeah. But when you try to talk those stuff, you really understand that ki how much bad word it is. Like basically, if I'm gonna say laudya, mother choda, choot, marisha, it's kind of like understand that ki it is very wrong word. Okay, yeah, when we say, but when we type, it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like that. We could able to be say mother chod, chutya, lauda, hepra, a lot of stuff. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to tell you is this thing na ki like basically is this thing, before people kind of like a putting the comment, they will understand what kind of like a comment they will give. So basically, if I do this thing, then probably is this thing na, the user will get the proper criticism, sometime kind of like constructive criticism. Okay, yeah, trolling will gonna happen very less, and probably is this thing na, the other user will kind of like understand from it more. Okay, yeah. So this is how I will gonna do. This is how I kind of like a control the trolling. Okay, yeah. This is the kind of like a thing. Like earlier I was kind of like a thought that ki like in my application doesn't really have any comment section. But I think that na, ki not having the comment section is not really good, because sometimes na, engagement is really essential. A kind of like a engagement towards the kind of like a user, and kind of like so many people who kind of like record the artifact, that engagement should supposed to happen. But there is also another thing, how do I supposed to ensure the privacy? Because there is also kind of like a things that privacy will gonna breach. Okay, how like privacy will not gonna breach, like basically there is no kind of like a privacy mention, but still something. Okay, like this is kind of like a things that I have to figure it out, like making sure that privacy should supposed to be maintained, but making sure that the user as well as kind of like a something, the people who kind of like record the artifact, they will kind of like became the safe place, so that they would supposed to be explain their thoughts and things and that. So I think that this is the way that I might kind of like simply create more empathize and try to stop that much trolling and things and that. Okay, now regarding about emphasize, okay, yeah, obviously people will gonna talk something that not really good. Okay, yeah, and I need a kind of like a little bit of filter regarding about that, because if I'm giving them freedom that they could supposed to talk anything, they will gonna talk shit. Okay, yeah. So I have a kind of like a particular system regarding about judgmental system. Okay, yeah. 30-70 ratio. Okay, 30% is kind of like a judged by the Adam. Adam is a kind of like a algorithm. Okay, yeah, it kind of like give the score, as well as people who kind of like give the dislike. Okay, yeah. From that thing, we will kind of like refine. Having less score of artifact will kind of like recommend to the less. More score of artifact will kind of like recommend to the more. Okay, yeah. So this is how I kind of like judge the things. I will not gonna kind of like only talk about the like a watch time. Okay, or maybe kind of like a how much long duration. Like basically in the YouTube platform, YouTube is kind of like a judge video by kind of like a only watch time, like how much kind of like a video is actually watched. Like a more video that you watch, more kind of like a represent to the people, but it does not kind of like a define is that video is actually right or wrong. Okay, so this is probably it need to be changed in YouTube, but in my artifact I have to be kind of like a judge by people opinion with algorithm too. So yeah, so this is how I kind of like create the empathy, and this is how I kind of like simply control the trolling. All right, this is it. Thank you.